Wonderful, we're on. Well, it is Monday morning again, and it's welcome to www.celebratelife.me. And it is another start of a new week, but actually it started yesterday. And we're coming to you on reggae.com. And guess what? We didn't come yesterday. Why? Because we were on a very, very special outside broadcast. And I'm sure you watched it and enjoyed it. But guess what? I can't go without doing every day because every day I have a different plan for you guys. And so today I am going to be doing yesterday's program. So tomorrow I will do today's program. But remember, on Sunday I usually have It's the Lord's Day. And I can't leave out that day because it's our most important time, the first day of the week, when we need to set our priorities and decide how we want to proceed. And so I am going to be doing the Lord's Day program today. Even though I am dressed for the Today program, remember this week we are doing psychological health. Last week, no, we're doing spiritual health. Oh, I'm so behind. Right, let's back up again. This week we're doing spiritual health, coming into achieving spiritual health. And so we're going to be doing the usual things, breaking it down in definitions, the process, and the expected end. Anytime we are approaching anything, we have to do it in stages. Planning and putting out the outline of anything that you're going to do is so important from the beginning. You can change it as you go along, but you must start with a plan. And where do you start the plan? Not at the beginning. You start it the same way our Creator starts His plan. From the end, you find what the end result that you desire and require, and then you work back. So the end that we are going to be working towards this week is how to achieve spiritual health. And then we're going to look back at the process of getting to that expected end. And then we start with the beginning or the introduction that is going to give us the framework to get to that expected end. So it's so important for us to have this sequence and this plan, regardless of what we are trying to achieve. We all know when we're in school, and those who are still in school, when you get into an examination, you're told, spend the first few minutes planning your whole exam. Planning which questions you're going to do, doing an outline of each question, and then putting it into little slots in terms of timing. Don't put it any further back, bring it up. This is my fan being put in place, and I'm on the lights today, so I need my fan. Plus, I am in hot colors. So, thank you, Mr. Producer. Here we are looking at planning, and anything you're doing, you need to look at planning because it's absolutely essential that you work back from the expected end goal or objectives, and then look at the process that will take you there. Then look at what you need to put in place initially in order to be able to accommodate the process to get to the expected end. So once we all have that outline, plan, formulation, whatever you want to call it, in place, then we're good to go. All right, achieving spiritual health. But remember, today is the Lord's Day, so we're doing a spiritual aspect of the whole issue of spirituality. What is it? Well, I don't know if I should say what it is it or who is it, because we need to understand that I am a spirit, and spirit is not an it, it is a who. So, who is it? And it is actually the spirit of my creator, your creator, and the creator of the whole world. Why? Because when I was created, it was the breath of the creator, the spirit of the creator that was put into me, that made me a living soul, that made me an alive person. And it is out of the soul that we become a personality. It is not out of the body. The body is just a house. And whether you live in a big house, you're overweight a little bit, or in a small house, you're petite like me, it does not matter. It's the same spirit that has been placed in all of us, the spirit of our Creator. And why is that important to understand? Because when we understand the spirit that has been put into us, then we will recognize our potential that is in embryo within us to become and develop into all the characteristics of the spirit of the Creator. And that is why I never ever say I could do that, because guess what? My Creator can do all things. And so I can do all things through the channel that my Creator has created for me to access everything that He is. And that channel is His Son. The Son was sent so that we could see exactly the process that we need to take to get from beginning to the expected end. And so I have 3 little phrases that I use for every process that I engage in. And these are they. 1, God's love gives. 2, God's word and words work. And 3, God's plan succeeds. You notice that I am employing my teaching style today so that you can hear every word and so that you can take notes. If you can't get notes down during the program, you always have the opportunity of rewinding, wheel on, come again, rewinding, and getting the information accurate. So, I am going to go over these 3 principles that I use for every process, every relationship, everything that I want to learn to do, and every type of analysis that I want to do on things that I have to learn, how to improve them, and how to get to the expected end. So I'm going to repeat them, and then I'm going to give you the foundation or basis, because that is what we're doing today, laying a foundation. The basis for everything must come out of the creative force of my Creator, which He has put into me. So, first foundation, God's love gives. It comes from John 3:16. John chapter 3, verse 16. And it says, for God so loved the world that He gave His only, one and only Son, that through Him, whoever believes, adheres to, will not turn away from, embraces Him and His teachings, will, shall, must engage in and be able to access eternal, abundant life. Wow! And if we are made in His image and He gives so exuberantly, then we also need to give of ourselves exuberantly and totally, 100% right. So, I'm learning that too, you know. But God's love gives is the foundation and or should be the foundation for every successful process. It's love. That is the foundation for every process, the reason that you should do anything. Not because you want to be successful at it, or you want to make money at it, or you want to anything. The foundation must be that you want to express some of that overwhelming love that God has given to each individual that He has created. And that is rule number one. If you don't start off with the right foundation for your actions, then the actions will never get to the expected end. You may achieve partial, but it is going to crumble and fall, because the only foundation that lasts forever is the foundation built on love, God's love. Our second one is God's words work. And I can't give you a verse for it because it's every verse in His operations manual. But my favorite one is this. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, 24/7. You need to mumble it, you need to think about it, you need to chew on it, you need to speak it out, you need to speak it in, day and night. To observe. That has a sort of a analytical thing, looking at it carefully, to observe what does it really mean, to analyze it, and then observe why, to do, so that you can put it into practice. Observe to do. To do what? All All that is written therein. All? That means you have to observe all the hundreds and thousands of rules and regulations. But remember I spoke about the foundation? Well, the foundation covers all of them. So if you learn to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength, you have covered all the rules. So you don't have to go and look for all these little rules here, there, and everywhere. You have covered all the rules by just and focusing on rule number one. So I haven't finished with this verse yet now, because it's a long verse. So observe to do all that is written therein. So all of that is the process. That's the process. How do you start this? Then you start it first of all. Are we having breaks today? Wonderful. In a minute, you start like this. 1. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. That's the beginning of the process. That's the foundation for this process. What is the expected end? Prosperity and success. What is the process in the middle? The observing, the speaking, the ruminating over it, the mumbling it, the speaking it to yourself, the speaking it to other persons, the observation and analysis of it, and the doing of it. That's the process. And the end is, then you will make your way prosperous and you will have good success. Wow! We'll take a break now and we'll come back and apply that today to spiritual. How you can come into spiritual health. Be back in just a moment.
Brigade.com. We encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. Since the first public demonstration of radio by Nikola Tesla in 1893, no one ever thought of putting the 2 hours of music together until we created Reggae to Reggae.com.
Just to deceive you. Don't tell me that you were blind. Don't let the devil fool you. Oh, oh, yeah. Somehow I know things have got to change.
I'm back. And so we just did the middle one, which was God's words work. Welcome back to Celebrate Life. .me on reggae to reggae.com. And now we're going on to number 3 in the principles. Number 3 is, let's go back 1 and 2 again, just to remind you. Number one is God's love gives. Number 2 is God's words work. And number 3 is God's plan succeeds. How do we know that the plan is going to succeed? Remember, the middle section I tell you already, you know. But the end section is going to tell you again. And this comes from Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Is that right? Well, look it up for yourself if it's wrong. But it's there in Jeremiah. Anyway, it says, I have a plan for you. A plan. God has a plan for us. And the plan was made before we were born. And you know what he did? He went from the end and saw all the things that he wanted us to accomplish. And then he went to the beginning or before the beginning. And you know what he did from before the beginning? He got together your great-grandparents and he gave them a certain DNA and then he put them in a certain locality. Sometimes one up in Scotland, another one down in Africa, you know. And then he brought them together through all sort of corruption. And then when they came together in Jamaica, the number one country in the world, then he brought them together through circumstances that are so diverse you could have never understand them. And then he brings them together, and then they have this child. Voila! Cheryl Case. That's me. Or you. You were constructed and put together so that you could be the solution for the problems and the challenges that will face you, face your family, face your community, face the area that you've been called to, face your church, face your nation, your organization. You are a solution. And it don't matter whether you have 1 foot, or you're paralyzed from your neck down, or you are mentally challenged. You have been constructed exactly how the Creator needed you to be, so that you can pull on those resources that He has poured into you when He breathed the breath of life into you. So even though you may see that you do not have those resources, now you have those resources in place, in embryo. And it's those challenges and problems that face you that are going to develop them and bring them out. So you're not a mistake, even though you're the product of rape. You are not a mistake. Look how many rapes don't produce a child. Huh? My God, thank God. But still, if you are the product of rape or incest or anything, God could have prevented you from being born. He can't do anything. So the fact that He decided that you were going to be born, it means He has a special plan for you. And remember what He says, children are a blessing from the Lord. And every child He brings into this world, even though the child may be going to live for 2 minutes, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years, or 120, it means that that is the span that you need to totally do what He created you for. So you see, there is no downside to this creation business, It's a win-win situation. So, I don't finish the verse yet, but you have to understand the start of the verse. I have a plan. So when He say He have a plan, it's not a plan that He just sit down and say, let me just think of something for this to go on to do. No, He did not sit down and say, let me just think if I can come up with something for this paraplegic or challenged person to do. Let me see what I can find, a little excess work around the corner that He can manage. The thing that was planned for you fits in perfectly with the area that He wanted to develop things in. My mom worked with a Salvation Army School for the Blind for years. She was not in any way physically or mentally challenged, but she taught them to read Braille, and she taught them to play the piano, and she taught them to use a sewing machine and make clothes. And if it is that there were no blind people, what would my mom do? That's what she was made for. And as a result of doing that, she became, for the last 60 years, 70 years of her life, she lived until she was 90 odd. For the last maybe 60 to 70 years of her life, she was the best music teacher in the world. And I'm not exaggerating, not because it's my mother, but guess what? She would take anybody to teach them music. She took these adults whose fingers had arthritis and their brain was gone to sleep, and she would teach them. She took the backward children. She had a lot of geniuses too, like my sister. But she took all these persons who were challenged, and all the students and ex-students of Lynette Case, Lynette Louise Lake Case, can attest to the fact that it doesn't matter where you start behind the fence, she could do it. Why on earth did she get these capabilities? Because she was teaching persons who were considered blind to do something that you need your eyesight to do. Well, guess what? She was able to pull up the spiritual eyesight in everybody. So whether your body is neither here nor there, your physical capabilities are neither here nor there, they are not an indication to what you can do and your potential. That would never happen if you didn't have talented people to work with. So understand, it doesn't matter which end of the spectrum you are at, you need to patch into the plan that God had for you. I have a plan. And he went on to explain this plan. He said the plan is not to hurt you or to harm you or to cause you any pain. If you're hurting and causing pain, then you're not patching into your plan right. You're not approaching it right. You need to give the hurt and the pain. So, to the Creator said, you say never gave me no hurt, you say never gave me no stress, you say never gave me no pain, and so I will give it back to you. Because it never came from, I will give it away anywhere, but not keeping it because it never came from the Creator. It came from the other side, the one who come to kill, steal, and destroy. That is who want to mess up. I was going to say something else. Put a screw in the works. He is the one who wants to screw it up, right? So anytime you get into a situation where you feel screwed, you got to decide, stop, reflect, review, and come into a place of worship and celebration. That's what we did on Saturday, right? So we have solution for everything. So let's get back to number 3, which you are on. I have a plan. Not to harm you, not to hurt you, not to give you any kind of pain. Never say challenge, no challenge, but it's not to hurt or harm. Because through it you're going to count it all joy when you fall into diverse stress. Count it all joy. Moving on. I did singing at school of music, but it wasn't one of my best subjects. Let's just put it that way. So it is giving you the ability to know that you don't need to have pain and hurt when you face stress. Alright? You can count it all joy. So, not to hurt you, not to harm you, not to give you pain. Let me see if I remember the first one. I have a plan. Not harm. But to give you a hope and a future. That means you can always look ahead to the fact that your better days are always ahead. No, good old days, this. Good old days are there for you to look and revel in the memories of yesterday. The wonderful memories. But also to make you remember that tomorrow is going to be better. Right? So we have a hope and a future. And then What is that about? It's an expected end. That means it is a sure end. And another version says to give you prosperity and success. So if it is that the plan of the Creator is formed from way back, one, two, He has put into me all the resources that I need to carry it out, no matter whether poor or rich or bigger or smaller. He has put into me everything, all the resources that I need to complete this plan. And guess what? The plan of a sure end. And what is a sure end? Prosperity and success. What do you have to fear coming into that plan? Answer that. Answer that. You know this what I did? Yesterday, my dear, we had our, it's time for a break. Yes, Dad, I tell you, I'm going for a break now. When I come back, I'm going to tell you a little bit of our class yesterday. Be right back.
Since the first public demonstration of radio by Nikola Tesla in 1893, no one ever thought of putting the 2 hours of music together until we created reggae2reggae.com. On reggae2reggae.com, we encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. On reggae2reggae.com, we encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience.
Somehow I know it's got to be rearranged. Somehow.
Hi. Okay, we're back here on www.celebratelife.me on reggae2reggae.com. And we are here on the best TV and radio online program in the world. Why? Because it is one that motivates every single person from any part of the world to be like our Jamaicans, excelling in everything that we touch, even the bad things. But guess what? We're trying now to just showcase the good things about Jamaica so that we can start increasing the energy related to the good things. And once we do that, then we'll start to drop off all the bad things that we do so excellently. Oh. So remember, it's a principle, you know. If you talk about everything that goes wrong and you speak it into being, you are helping it, you are reinforcing it. So what you do, when you hear anything that is bad, you go like this. And anytime you hear anything that is good, you just say it over and over and over and over and over and over. And after a while, you won't have such a school face. Because you will only be able to remember the wonderful things about Jamaica. And you will forget all the horrible things. And guess what? If you don't feed them, they have to die. Anything you don't feed will die. Anything that you see getting bigger and better and fatter has been fed. And that is why when you see crime and violence and all sort of negative things proliferating around you, it's because you have been feeding it. Same thing within yourself. You put on too much weight, your belly getting too big, is because you're feeding it. You want it to stop, stop it. Same thing with your mental capacities, the same thing with your relationships. If they are toxic and you keep feeding them, they become more toxic. What do you do with toxic relationships? You starve them. We did that last week, and I'm not going back there today. Today, we're doing the start of our Achieving Spiritual Health. So, I was just telling about this class. I remember I went like this, and our class that we had on Saturday, it was from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and we covered the area of posture, how to sit, how to stand, how to walk, how to hold your hands, how to position your feet, just how to present your total self. And that took us 2 hours, because everybody had to learn to do it, and everybody had to learn to do it, and to practice it, and to showcase it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the things that we taught was that you don't want to gesticulate so much with your hands. So you notice how I've been sort of quiet today. I have to practice what I preach or teach. And then other things that when I went like this, I realized that that was one of the hand positions that are frowned upon. Whenever you cross your arms, you're to make sure that your fingers are all out, right? Unless your legs. Right. So just a little bit from our class, and next class we're going to have little snippets on air as fillers for our programs. So we are talking about the 3 rules of coming into any expected end, of planning anything, and it's 3. The 3 ones are, the first one is the foundation. You must have a foundation introduction and a vehicle to get into the process. And you must start from the expected end and work back in determining how to go. So in this case, our process, our start of the process is God's love gives. The process in the middle is God's words work every time. And at the end, it's God's plan succeeds. So if you have love as a foundation and start of every activity and action, and you have God's words put in practice through in the middle, and you have God's plan succeeds at the end, it's a no-brainer to decide if this is a route that you have to take. So this is how you get into spiritual again. No, but this don't sound like spiritual. This sounds like physical, or it sounds like something that is, you get involved in. Well, now I've come to the clinch. What is spiritual? How do you achieve it? What is the antithesis of it? What is the opposite of it? What creates a lack of it? Right? And I'm going to tell you this one word. But before I tell you that one word, I want to just repeat what we said at the beginning. I am a spirit. The spirit is who I am. My essence, my temperament, which is eternal and unchanging, everlasting, never changes. Those are the characteristics that have been put into me by my Creator. And those incorporate and include the creative spirit, which I have, and which every one of us has. And we use that creative spirit by verbalizing and actually putting into action what we verbalize. Why am I sort of hesitating here? You got to get the crux right, because there are people who go around and say, "Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed and highly favored. Oh, how are you today? Blessed and highly favored." They have no clothes, shoes. They have no sense. They have no nothing. But they're walking around saying, "I'm blessed and highly favored." They think they can name it and claim it. But guess what? It is only important and is only effective if when you speak it, then you do it, you follow it up. Your talk has to be followed by your walk. And so it is so important that you do that. That is absolutely essential. So, it's not just your talk, it is your action that follows your talk that is important. So, let's get back now to this one word that I've been telling you about. Because I am a spirit, the only time I have spiritual illness, or I'm spiritually unwell, or spiritually unhealthy, is when my spirit is out of sync with my spirit that has been put into me by my Creator. Let me say that again. The only time that I am spiritually unwell or spiritually sick is when my spirit, which is a part of my Creator's spirit that has been put into me, is out of sync with my spirit that has been put into me. That's what I said before, but it's still not even clear to me. So let me put it another way. I know the only time I am spiritually unwell or spiritually sick is when my actions, my words, my thoughts, my emotions are not in sync with my spirit, which has been put into me by my Creator. Let me clarify a little more. Remember, the spirit that was put into me by my Creator is His spirit. It's like a piece of His spirit, or an extension of His spirit, made in His image. Right. So when that spirit has been put into me, anything I do with the other parts of myself, that is, my psychological self and my physical self, anything I do in my body, anywhere I go, anything I use any of my bodily functions to do that are not in sync with that perfect spirit that has been put into me, it means that I have now taken that spirit and made it my spirit. So when we talk in the Bible about the spirit of a man as different from the spirit of the Creator, then it means that I have taken control of that spirit. Right? And the idea is to give back control of that spirit to the original giver, who will control it. And then your soulish realm and your physical body will always line up with that one. I think I've explained it a little clearly now. But anytime you don't line up with that spirit, do you know what the result is? Stress! Stress! Does that look stressful enough? Stress! Right? That is what happens. And you move from being the beautiful creation that God made you to be the ugliest person on earth. That's what happens when you don't speak what the Spirit tells you to speak. You don't think what the Spirit tells you to think. You don't go where the Spirit sends you. You don't make those choices and decisions that are compatible with what the Spirit wants you to do. And that is how you get spiritual sickness or spiritual ill health or stress. education, long time. It was after I just finished doing my counseling psychology, and I thought about the fact that I just completed a doctorate, and I thought about the fact that I was taught in the curriculum that stress was a psychological condition because there's eustress and distress and stressors and I said, wait, that's all right. So of course, you know what I do? Look in my operations manual. And then I and I look at and I say, spirit is within me. Is that true? And then I come on my knees and kneel down. Oh God, show me what this is real. What is the truth about this God? I feel uncomfortable. You know, anytime you feel uncomfortable in your head or in your gut, check it out. Check it out. Something not right. And the best way to check it is right to yourself. I'm here to tell you, because you know what's happening in your head and your gut? There's a spirit inside of you telling you, there's no synchronized. Something is wrong. So I went on this occasion and I searched and you know what the Father said to me? 2 things you can check anything by. 1, the fruit, and 2, the gifts. The gifts I have given to you, because everything you have is a gift. And so I went into this research, and I did the research on what are the gifts of the Spirit, and what are the fruit of the Spirit. And I found, as we were looking at last week, that the fruit of the Spirit is the results that we need for psychological health. And so once we follow those things and develop that fruit and bear that fruit, you can bear the fruit if there wasn't a seed. You can bear the fruit if there wasn't a tree. And so that's why the words sown as children or into children need to be sown as a seed. And they will grow and they will bear the fruit of the Spirit, which we dealt with last time. Peace, love, joy, patience, long suffering. Patience and long suffering is the same thing. Goodness, gentleness, meekness. All of these come from a seed, and then they bear a fruit. That was last week's issues. Today we're talking about the gifts, because everything in the spirit realm is a gift given to you when the Spirit was put into you and you became a living soul. The soul is the one that handles the fruit, because the soul that have to develop. But the gifts are free and instantaneously as long as you take it. Never thought of that, huh? I just got the download. Wonderful. Well, so now we have a situation where we have the conclusion given to us. Remember, the basis must be love. Love your Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. The process must be those words. Bring the words in, morning, noon, and night. And remember, you have to try my foolproof methodology. I play the word 24/7 in my house, in my environment, everywhere, 24/7. And so it's always going in. It goes in through my eye gate, my nose gate, my mouth gate, the ear gate, through the pores. So that anytime I need something, it just jump out at me. 15 years. And I still don't have all of them together, you know. So you see, it's something you have to constantly be pouring in. You know why? You forget. Look how many things I learned from when I was 5 and 6 and 7 in Sunday school. And now that I am 60 plus, 60 plus, maybe a few weeks or days, but 60 plus. Sometimes I am faced with a situation and it takes me a little while to think that, you know, this is the one I should apply. And it's something information I had. It was knowledge. It was information. Because information is just information. But when it comes to putting it into knowledge, it means that I have applied it and I have successfully applied it. So I know what the expected end. I have a testimony about it, right? So we need to understand the importance of planting, the importance of the process of using those words, and the expected end of spiritual health can only come when you patch into that perfect plan that has been made around your life, that your life has been made for. It's not that it has been made around your life. Your life has been made for that perfect plan. And when I talk about the word perfect, right away comes to me and say, but how can I do that? I can't do it perfectly. But there is a way and a methodology. And you know what it is? It comes from 1 John, chapter 1, verse 9. He is faithful, never changes. And he will forgive every time we drop down. That means that every time I come and I say, oh, I'll mess up again. He is just so loving, because remember, the basis of everything is starting in love. His love for me first, and then my love back for him. Remember, today is our last day program. No matter that it's Monday, this is the day that you need to use as your jump start to get your life going for the whole week. He is faithful. Once I come and say, Lord, I'm messed up. Help me. I won't do this again. I'm going to turn. I want to stop doing those things that keep pulling me in that direction. I'm not going to go there anymore. So every time I go there, I'm up with 2. Not doing it. You make that resolve. It doesn't matter whether you go there again or not, you know. The issue is that you have made up your mind that that is what you want to do. And the process of getting there may take you a day or 2, or 2 weeks, or 2 years, or 20 years. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. So don't get frustrated along the way. If you keep your focus and your intent where you want to go, you shall reach it in the timing of the plan that has been pre-made for you before you were born. And so it is so important for you to understand that that is the route to take. Okay, so now that you understand the 3 sections, I want to just elaborate a little more in the last few minutes that we have on the issue of stress. Because it's the only thing that you need to deal with if you want to come back into physical health. Just to recap the definition of stress. Stress only occurs when your spirit is not in sync with God's Spirit. You have to understand that if you're operating along the lines that you were created to operate, you do not have stress. Well, let's look at some stressful situations, potentially stressful situations. You could be faced with a gunman or a dog running you down, whichever one's the same sort of response you're going to have. And you now have a choice of the fight or flight response. And you need to understand that when that faces you, you have been physically empowered to either fight or take flight successfully. That is a physiological thing. And we will, go more into it down the road when we do the other sessions this week. But having understood that the only time something outside of the normal is going to ruffle you is when you do not respond in the way your spirit has been already programmed to respond. You are responding how your flesh wants to respond, or how your psyche wants to respond, by thinking rationally. Oh, well, this thing is going to kill me. Or fear is always a psychological response. Rest and calm. And all the fruit of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit are spiritual responses. Talk more about that later on. So when we understand that the only time we're stressed is when we are responding outside of how our spirits were made to respond. And that is the only way you can count it all joy. That is the only way you can rest. You can extend what is called your Sabbath day rest. There is a rest for the believer. Those who believe the words that are in the process of getting from beginning with a love foundation to the expected end of prosperity and success. Those who understand to keep in sync with the words that are the process in the middle of the beginning and end of your time here on earth, that you will be able to incorporate that shalom, because you know, like you know, like I know my expected end, I also know that my expected end is one of prosperity and success. And so what do? Wait until I get there to experience it? I pull it in to the process and I experience it every day of my life. After I get up, remember what I talked about? When you fall down, when you bucket to, I'm up like a light. You know that nothing's faster than the speed of light. But thought. Right. I think thought is more instantaneous than light. But back to this. We need to understand that there is a way in our growth. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything. By prayer, supplication, with thanksgiving. For the last time that you got over, under, and around, with thanksgiving for this time and the next time, the sure knowledge that you shall succeed every time. Then you are able to embrace that peace that will garrison you and hug you up and you know that everything is in perfect, upright order. There is nothing missing and nothing broken. Shalom. Shalom. That is the meaning for shalom. So today I'm going to leave you with the Aaronic blessing that I did on Shalom Shabbat a couple of days ago. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and grant you his shalom. See you tomorrow when we will go into the meat of achieving spiritual health with me as I celebrate my life and invite you to join in on reggae to reggae.com.
I know things have got to change. Ooh, somehow I know it's got to be rearranged. Ooh, yo, oh my. These words have been spoken by my master. They will come to pass. Huh. With all this injustice, this world could never last. Oh, somehow I know things have got to change. Somehow.
Since the first public demonstration of radio by Nikola Tesla in 1893, no one ever thought of putting the 2 hours of music together until we created reggae to reggae.com.